The cold wind howled across the empty surface of the mining colony on the distant planet Verdes. Harsh storms swept the red dust over broken machinery and cracked metal floors. Inside the crumbling walls of the facility, everything felt silent and still, except for the weak breath of one lone figure. The alien woman lay on the floor, her body broken and motionless. Her skin was pale under the faint lights, bruised and scarred. Her large eyes, once full of pride and fire, now stared blankly at the cracked ceiling. She was from the Valrine, a proud warrior race known for their strength and honor. But now, she was alone, broken, and forgotten. Her name was Lyra. Once she had been a skilled scout and fighter, trusted by her clan to protect their interests on this remote world. But an accident in the mining tunnels had changed everything. Collapse trapped her under heavy debris. She had waited for help, hoping her people would come, but days passed in silence. The harsh planet's storms prevented any rescue teams from reaching her. Hope had slowly faded, replaced by cold fear far above, in the cold vacuum of space. A small human ship glided silently near the colony. Captain Jake Morris, a human rescue pilot, scanned the planet's surface from his cockpit. Jake was calm but alert, a man used to danger and quick decisions. He was part of the United Earth Space Fleet, tasked with patrolling the outer colonies and responding to distress calls today. Jake's mission was routine check the mining colonies for any signs of trouble and make sure everything was running smoothly. The Verdes colony was old and almost forgotten, a small outpost on the edge of explored space. Few ships visited here, and communication was often slow. While running his scan, Jake noticed a weak distress signal from the colony's mining sector. The signal was faint, broken, but it was there. His brow furrowed. He knew this could mean someone was in trouble. He quickly changed course and headed toward the source of the signal. Back inside the mining tunnels, Lyra's mind drifted through fading memories. She remembered the day of the collapse, the sharp crash of falling rock, and the terrible weight crushing her body. She remembered the pain and the hopeless hours trapped in darkness. She had called out for help, but no one came. Her clan had moved on, leaving her behind, thinking she was lost. She felt a deep shame. In Valrine culture, weakness was punished harshly. To be injured and left behind was to be forgotten, a disgrace. Lyra had lost not only her body's strength, but also her place in her people's story. She was a shadow, immobilized and forgotten. The colony's power flickered as storms battered the structure. Sensors failed, lights went out, and communications cut off.
Ow.
Lyra had no way to call for help anymore. She closed her eyes and let out a soft breath. Maybe this was the end. Suddenly, a distant sound broke the silence. A hum of engines echoed faintly above the colony. Lyra opened her eyes, hope flickering weakly inside her chest. Could it be help finally coming? Outside. Jake's ship slowly descended toward the colony's landing pad. The distress signal grew stronger as he got closer. He felt a mix of relief and concern. This could be a rescue mission or something worse. He checked his equipment and prepared for a quick response. As Jake's ship landed with a soft thud, the colony's main gate opened, revealing a dark and damaged interior. The halls were quiet, signs of recent chaos everywhere. Broken machinery and scattered tools told stories of hurried evacuation or a disaster. Jake moved carefully, his boots echoing on the metal floor. Called out over his radio, but no answer. His heart pounded. Something was wrong here. His scanner beeped rapidly near the old mining tunnels. Following the signal, Jake found a small hidden entrance partially covered by debris. Inside, the air was thick with dust and cold. There, barely visible in the shadows, lay Lyra. She was pale and still, her breathing faint. Jake's eyes widened. He rushed to her side and gently checked her pulse. It was weak, but she was alive. "Hey, can you hear me?" Jake said softly, careful not to startle her. "I'm here to help." Lyra's eyes fluttered open, confusion and pain mixing in her gaze. She tried to move, but could not. Fear and shame made her close her eyes again. Jake called for medical support on his radio and carefully lifted Lyra into his arms. He whispered reassurances as he carried her to the ship. Back on the human ship, Jake and his small medical team worked quickly. They cleaned her wounds, gave her medicine, and attached monitors. Lyra was too weak to speak, but she felt the warmth of care. For the first time in weeks, Jake stayed by her side, determined not to leave her behind. He ignored orders from his superiors, who warned him to leave the alien behind and return with his team. To Jake, no one was just a lost cause. While the ship jumped away from the stormy planet, Lyra looked at the human beside her. Time since the accident, she felt a faint spark of hope. Maybe she was not forgotten after all. The hum of the ship's engines was steady as it flew through the quiet darkness of space. Inside the small medical bay, Lyra lay on a soft bed, her body still weak but slowly healing. Her large eyes watched the glowing screens and machines that beeped softly around her. She could feel the gentle touch of human hands caring for her, and it was strange yet comforting. Captain Jake Morris sat nearby, watching her closely. He was tired from the rescue but kept his focus sharp. The orders from command were clear. Leave the alien behind. It was too risky to keep her on board. But Jake could not accept that. To him, every life was important. No one deserved to be forgotten or left to die. He remembered the look in Lyra's eyes when he found her fear, mixed with pain and disbelief. She had been abandoned by her own people, left to die on a harsh world. Jake knew what it was to be alone, and he refused to let that happen again. "How are you feeling?" Jake asked softly, leaning closer. Lyra blinked slowly, trying to find her voice. I do not know," she said weakly. Her voice was rough, but it carried a quiet strength. "Why did you save me? My people, they left me." Jake smiled, gently. "Because no one deserves to be left behind. Everyone matters, no matter who they are." Lyra's eyes searched his face. She had never met a human like this before. Humans were known in the galaxy for their stubbornness and kindness, but also their willingness to fight for what they believed was right. Jake was showing her that kindness could come even in the darkest times. Days passed as the medical team worked to heal Lyra's broken body. Her strength slowly returned, but the scars in her heart remained. She felt shame for being weak and afraid. In Valrine culture, weakness was not accepted. She feared what her people would think if they saw her now. The ship's communication channels crackled one afternoon. A message came from the Valrine command fleet. The tone was cold and clear. "Human vessel, return the Valrine scout immediately. She is property of the Valrine Empire. Failure to comply will be considered an act of aggression." Jake frowned as he listened. The Valrine leaders still saw Lyra as an object, not a person. He shook his head. "Tell them we will not abandon her. She is under our protection now," Jake replied firmly. Lyra overheard the message and felt a mix of anger and sadness. Her own people wanted her back, not to save her, but to control her. She had been discarded once, but now she had a chance. To prove she was more than just a tool, Jake sat beside her and explained the situation. "They want you back, but they don't care about what you need. They see you as a weapon or a problem. I see you as a person." For the first time in a long time, Lyra felt a small flicker of hope. Maybe she could find a new path, one that did not depend on the approval of her people. As Lyra began to heal, she and Jake spent hours talking about their lives. She told him about Valrine traditions, their honor in battle, and the harsh ways they treated the weak. Jake shared stories of Earth and the human spirit, how humans survived wars, disasters, and hardship by helping each other. Through these conversations, Lyra started to trust Jake. She felt safer in his presence than she ever had with her own kind, but trouble was not far away. In the shadows of space, a group of Valrine bounty hunters received orders. Their mission: bring Lyra back, dead or alive. The leaders feared that if Lyra survived and shared the truth about her abandonment, it would cause unrest in their empire. She had to be stopped. The bounty hunters were skilled and ruthless, hunted across star systems, using advanced technology and weapons to track their prey. They believed in Valrine's strength above all else and saw Lyra's survival as a threat to their pride. Jake learned about the hunters' arrival through intercepted communications. He knew the danger was real and fast approaching. "Lyra, we have to prepare," Jake said with urgency. They're coming for you." Fear flashed in Lyra's eyes, but she nodded. The helpless girl trapped in the tunnels was gone. Now, she was ready to fight for her life and for her future. The human crew worked quickly to upgrade the ship's defenses. Jake trained Lyra in basic combat moves she could manage despite her injuries. He wanted her to feel strong again, even if only a little. During this time, their bond grew deeper. They became not just rescuer and rescued, but partners facing a dangerous fight together. When the bounty hunters arrived, the battle was fierce. Laser fire lit the dark skies and alarms blared inside Jake's ship. The Valrine attackers were relentless, using every weapon they had to break through defenses. But Jake's human crew fought back with skill and courage. Lyra, despite her wounds, helped coordinate efforts, her sharp mind proving valuable. The fight was hard, but the human ship's technology and crew determination kept them alive. In the heat of battle, Lyra realized something important. Strength was not just in muscles or weapons. It was in courage, hope, and the will to survive. And in Jake's refusal to give up on her, she found new strength. When the last Valrine ship was pushed away, Jake and Lyra shared a look of relief. The fight was not over, but they had won this battle together. As the stars glowed quietly outside, Lyra felt something she had not felt in a long time: trust, hope, and the will to live, all because one human refused to leave her behind. The days after the battle were quiet but tense. Captain Jake Morris and Lyra knew their fight was far from over. The Valrine Empire would not stop until they had Lyra back or destroyed her. But for the first time, Lyra felt alive in a way she had not known before. She was no longer just a broken warrior left to die. She was fighting for her life and for something more. The human ship moved steadily through space, seeking a safe place where Lyra could heal fully and plan their next steps. Jake used his contacts across the galaxy to find allies, others who believed in justice, fairness, and hope. Beyond old rivalries, Lyra watched the stars from the ship's observation deck. Her thoughts were heavy, but clearer now. She had lived a life bound by rigid traditions, honor tied to strength and victory. Weakness was shameful and mercy was rare. But with Jake, she learned that strength could come from kindness and compassion. One evening, Jake joined her, holding 2 cups of hot tea. He handed one to Lyra and sat beside her. "I spoke with some friends," Jake said quietly. "There's a group in the Nebula sector who help refugees and those hunted by their own people. They might help us." Lyra nodded slowly. "I will need help if I am to return and face my empire. We will not go back until you are ready," Jake promised. As days passed, Lyra trained her body with Jake's help. She was still weak, but each day brought small victories. She learned to control her emotions better, fighting the shame that haunted her. The human's constant support was her anchor. In the ship's library, Lyra studied star charts and galactic politics, realized how little she knew of the wider universe beyond her clan's strict rules. Her world was small, filled with fear and pride. Now she dreamed of a future where survival did not mean being cast aside. Meanwhile, rumors of Lyra's survival and rescue spread quickly across the galaxy. Some saw her as a symbol of hope and courage, a warrior who refused to die. Others whispered about the human who dared to save her. Breaking ancient rules and risking war, the Valrine government grew worried. Their leaders sent diplomats demanding Lyra's immediate return, but their threats fell on deaf ears. Jake and Lyra stood firm. One day a hologram appeared in the ship's command room. It showed a Valrine ambassador, stern and cold. "Return." "Our scout at once," the ambassador demanded. "Her survival is a threat to the Empire's order. Compliance will prevent conflict." Jake replied calmly, "She is under our protection. We will not hand her over to those who abandoned her." The ambassador's eyes narrowed. "This is your final warning." After the message ended, Lyra spoke softly, "They fear me, not because I am strong, but because I survived when they wished me dead." Jake nodded. Survival can be the greatest power. To prepare for what might come, Jake reached out to the refugee group he mentioned earlier. The group was led by a wise alien named Tessa, who believed in peace and second chances. They welcomed Lyra and offered shelter. At their hidden base in the nebula, Lyra met others who had escaped their pasts. Some were warriors like her, others were diplomats, and some were families seeking safety. Here Lyra found acceptance and hope. Jake and Lyra worked together with the group to plan how to reveal the truth about the Valrine Empire's harsh treatment of its weak. They knew the galaxy needed to see the real story, not the Empire's lies. Lyra trained harder with Tessa's warriors, regaining her fighting skills, but also learning new ways using strategy, patience, and courage. She was becoming a leader, not just a survivor. The bond between Jake and Lyra deepened. They shared quiet moments talking about their dreams, fears, and hopes for a better galaxy. For Lyra, Jake was more than a rescuer. He was a friend and a symbol of the kindness she thought she had lost. One night, as the ship sailed through the nebula's glowing clouds, Lyra stood beside Jake, looking at the stars. "Thank you," she said quietly, "for not leaving me behind." Jake smiled. "We don't leave anyone behind. Not in space, not on Earth, and not in life." The quiet promise hung between them, stronger than any weapon, but far away, in the halls of power on the Valrine homeworld. Plans were being made to bring Lyra back by force. The Empire could not allow one broken scout to challenge their rule. The coming days would test Lyra, Jake, and their new allies. But for now, Lyra held on to hope, the hope that no matter how deep the darkness, there was always a light if someone refused to give up on you. The calm of the nebula was broken by the arrival of a dark fleet. Valrine warships, fast and deadly, moved like shadows through the colorful clouds. Their mission was clear: find Lyra and bring her back, no matter the cost. Captain Jake Morris. And Lyra stood on the command deck of the human ship, watching the approaching threat. The tension was thick in the air. The human crew prepared for battle, checking weapons and shields. Everyone knew the fight ahead would be dangerous. "They won't stop until they get her," Jake said quietly. "We have to be ready." Lyra's eyes were steady. "I have faced death before. This time, I will fight for more than myself." The Valrine attackers moved quickly, striking with precision. Lasers cut through space, and explosions lit the darkness. The human ship shook as enemy fire hit the shields. Jake shouted orders, his voice calm but firm. The crew responded with skill and courage. They fired back, using every weapon and trick they had. Lyra, though still recovering, helped direct the defense. Her sharp mind and knowledge of Valrine tactics were valuable. She felt alive in the chaos. No longer the broken woman trapped in darkness. The battle raged for hours. Some Valrine ships were destroyed, others damaged. But the enemy was relentless, closing in with reinforcements. At one point, a Valrine boarding party managed to breach the ship's defenses. Alarms blared as the crew prepared to fight in the corridors. Lyra grabbed a weapon, steadying herself despite pain. Side by side with Jake and other crew members, she fought fiercely. Her training as a scout and warrior came back, mixed with the new lessons she learned from her human allies. She was no longer alone. The fighting was intense, but the human crew's determination and teamwork pushed the invaders back. Soon, the boarding party was defeated and the ship sealed. After the battle, Lyra looked at Jake with gratitude and respect. "You did not have to fight for me," she said softly. "I did," Jake replied, "because you matter." The warships retreated, but the danger was far from over. The Valrine Empire would send more forces. The galaxy was watching. To protect Lyra and the truth she carried, Jake made a bold decision. They would leave the Nebula Refuge and take the fight too. The Valrine homeworld itself. Preparations began for a daring mission. Lyra trained harder, her body stronger, her spirit fiercer. The human crew worked tirelessly to repair and upgrade their ship. As they traveled, Jake and Lyra planned their next steps. It would expose the Empire's cruelty and fight for change. Not just for Lyra, but for all who were forgotten and cast aside. During quiet moments, Lyra shared stories of her past, her family, her clan, and the day she was left behind. Jake listened, understanding the pain and strength behind her words. their bond grew, not just as allies, but as friends who believed in each other. Finally, the day came to face the Valrine Empire. They approached the heavily guarded homeworld, a planet of steel cities and ancient traditions. The mission was risky, but necessary. Jake and Lyra knew that, to change the future, they had to confront the past. As they prepared to land, Lyra felt a mix of fear and determination. This was her chance to reclaim her honor and show the galaxy that no one was weak if others refused to leave them behind. The story was far from over. But together, Human and Valrine faced it with courage and hope. The Valrine homeworld was a place of towering cities and strict rules. Ancient traditions held strong, and the idea of weakness was punished without mercy. For Lyra, returning here meant facing not only her past, but the leaders who had chosen to leave her behind. Captain Jake Morris and Lyra's human crew landed in a hidden zone, away from the watchful eyes of the Empire's soldiers. Their plan was clear: expose the truth about Lyra's abandonment and the cruelty of the Valrian leaders. Lyra met with secret leaders within the Valrian ranks, those who had also seen the harshness of their empire and wished for change. Rebels had gathered quietly, waiting for a symbol to unite them. Lyra's survival and courage gave them hope. Together, they planned to broadcast the truth across the galaxy, showing the Valrine people what their leaders had done, how they had discarded their own for weaknesses. As preparations moved forward, Lyra trained harder than ever. She learned new strategies, practiced diplomacy, and regained the confidence that had been crushed under years of shame. Jake supported her at every step. He shared stories of human fights for justice and freedom, teaching her that strength was not only in battle, but in standing for what was right. The day of the broadcast came. Lyra stood before the cameras, her voice steady and clear. She told her story, the accident, the abandonment, the pain of being forgotten. She spoke not with anger, but with hope for change. Across the galaxy, viewers watched in silence and shock. Many had believed the Valrine Empire's proud image, but now they saw the truth. The broadcast sparked conversations, protests, and debates. Valrine citizens began to question their leaders. The Empire's control weakened as more voices joined. Lyra's call for justice, but the leaders fought back. They labeled Lyra a traitor and sent forces to capture her once more. Jake and the human crew stood ready, their loyalty unshaken. The final confrontation was not only a battle of weapons, but a fight for hearts and minds. With allies from many worlds, Lyra and Jake faced the Empire's forces, determined to bring lasting change. Through courage and unity, they overcame the opposition. The Empire was forced to reconsider its harsh ways, opening the door to a future where no one was left behind. Lyra's journey from broken and forgotten to leader and symbol inspired many. She proved that survival, kindness, determination could rewrite even the oldest stories. Jake and Lyra stood side by side, knowing their fight was far from over, but hopeful for the galaxy's new beginning. The galaxy had changed since Lyra was rescued from the harsh planet where she was left alone and broken. Her story had spread far and wide, becoming a symbol of hope for many who felt forgotten or weak. But Lyra knew that true change was not easy or quick. It required courage, trust, and many small steps. Captain Jake Morris stood beside her on the bridge of their ship, watching the stars move slowly past. He had been by her side from the moment he found her trapped and helpless. Over time, their bond grew stronger, built on respect and shared purpose. "We have come a long way," Jake said softly, "but the galaxy still needs hope." Lyra nodded. "When I was trapped, I believed I was worthless, but you showed me otherwise. I want to help others find their strength too." Their mission had expanded. No longer was it just about Lyra's survival. Together with their allies from many species, they worked to build a future where no one would be left behind or forgotten. The Valrine Empire, once ruled by fear and strict laws, was beginning to change. Lyra's broadcast had opened eyes and hearts. Leaders who once ignored the weak now listened. Old rules were being rewritten to include mercy and justice in the quiet moments. Lyra trained new warriors and diplomats, teaching them not only to fight, but to understand and protect those who could not protect themselves. Jake shared stories of human struggles and victories, inspiring hope and courage, yet challenges remained. Some still feared change, clinging to old ways. Enemies of peace moved in the shadows, hoping to turn the galaxy back to darkness. But Lyra and Jake faced these challenges with steady hearts. They believed in the power of kindness and the strength of unity. One evening, as the ship traveled through the calm of space, Lyra looked out at the stars, feeling peace she had never known before. "I was broken," she said quietly. But now I see my past was only the start of a new path." Jake smiled. "Sometimes the hardest times show us who we truly are." Their story became a legend not of war or destruction, but of hope and the human spirit. It showed that even when someone is forgotten or left behind, they can rise again with the help of those who refuse to give up. The galaxy watched and learned from their journey, a reminder that compassion and courage are the greatest powers of all.